What's going on, everybody? It's Clutch here, and then I wanted to make a response video to Tashi's hype video around the MCC Pro Series coming up and all the competition from the pro side that's going to be competing in it, and all the new teams that have formed, and what kind of talent to look out for, X Factors, Dark Horses, whatever it might be. Kind of give you a power rankings from my point of view. So, if we're doing Clutch's power rankings, we're going to start off with number one, and the number one seed has to be Sentinels, right? I think transitioning to H2A is going to be all too familiar for Lethal, Snakebite, Royal 2, and even APG. They all had pretty good success when H2A was around the first time, and I think that it's going to continue, and that I would expect to see this team in almost every finals. I think that there's a lot of competition out there, and there's a lot of people coming from them for them, and they have a big target on their back. But I think that if they can take it serious, that they will have a lot of success, right? So, moving on, my number two seed has got to be this new Eco Stellar roster that's formed. It's Eco Stellar Renegade, and then you have Penguin. I think that the Eco Stellar Renegade trio, coming from Splice and Halo 5, and the real thorn in the side of what used to be Tox, is now back. And I think that Renegade, being such an individually skilled player and working so well with Stellar and Eco in the past, is only going to provide dividends for them when trying to compete in H2A. I think that this is a great opportunity for Penguin as well to kind of step up and not necessarily replace Shotzi, but find some comfortability in a roster that he's new to. And I know he's teamed with Eco and Stellar before, but that was a while back. And I think that he's had a lot of success and learned a lot about probably his own play style and Halo in general, to where he's a different player than when they teamed with the first time. I think the world of Penguin as a player, and I think that he's a very nice piece to add to this trio, and that they are going to be competing, as long as they practice, they're going to be competing alongside Sentinels in some finals, and probably take a couple of the titles, right? I think that if we're going to move on, we have to, the number three seed you have to give to the people that have the belt, right? It almost feels wrong putting that Eco and Stellar roster at number two, but my third seed has got to be the Ace, Spartan, Boo Boo, and Valicated roster that just ended up winning the LAN tournament at Reach. And we're going to give them the number three seed, which feels unjust, and I know they're probably going to not like being there right now, but I need to see some consistency out of them, because I knew that they were capable of winning the tournament. I knew it wasn't probable, but I want to see how they are able to transition and keep some consistency during tournaments, right? I think that you've seen Spartan and Ace just go off and take over, and even Boo Boo obviously win a tournament or two, and I think that that's a lot. That's a lot for a player to do consistently. And I think that they haven't necessarily shown me that they can do that on a consistent basis yet. I think that they no longer have that chip on their shoulder that they came into DreamHack Anaheim with. So how are they going to play without that chip on their shoulder? And knowing that other teams are aware that, yeah, they can win this tournament. If we don't take them serious, they're going to beat us. And I think that that's a different mindset for other teams to have when competing against this roster. And now it's going to be viewed as that they are as good as the Sentinels or the other top teams, instead of viewed as like a team that you probably should beat. Like, they're no longer underdogs, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So super excited to watch them compete, and hoping that they can bring some consistency, because if they can, we're going to see a lot of new faces in the finals come both sides, right? I think that if we're going down to number four, it's got to be Pistola's new team. And I'm super excited to watch Pistola's new team kind of play, because Ola and Trippy have teamed together and had minor success, but the players I'm really excited about on this roster are Neptune and Bound. And Neptune, being super young, super talented, coming up in Halo 5, having minor success there, but showing a lot of potential, showing that he's like the next up-and-coming young gun with a lot of individual skill. Getting more opportunities to get him into a 4v4 environments and compete against some of the best in the world, I think it's only going to benefit him, and he's only going to display like more and more skill and more plays are going to come from him, and he's only going to become a bigger name over time. I think that another player, Bound, is someone that I'm super excited to learn more about, because every time I talk to anybody about Bound and his Halo 5, they're like, yeah, he never went to a LAN, but he's got what it takes, and he's going to be really good as soon as he starts going to LANs and as soon as he starts proving himself on the main stage, right? And I know that this is going to be an online series, and there's not going to be an opportunity for him to kind of prove himself on a LAN stage yet, but this is step one to kind of getting your opportunity if you're Bound. And I think that with this opportunity, he's gonna need to prove himself and play very well. But I think that anytime I've ever seen him play, he's played really well. So I expect him to kind of hold him to that caliber already as a player. And if he does that, and if Neptune plays really well, this team can have a lot of success and beat any of the top teams that I've listed before them. I think that there's a lot of potential for upsets coming up. And with that comes my biggest dark horse for the start of this H2A season, MCC Pro Series. And that's going to be the Rain, Ryan, Noob, King, Nick, and Saiyan roster. I love this team because I know for a fact they're coming in with a lot of chips on their shoulder. Rain, Ryan, Noob, and King Nick were playing so well in Reach until the days of DreamHack Anaheim, where they couldn't quite win the series that they needed to win in order to get the placings they wanted. But I think that Rain and Ryan Noob sticking together and holding on to King Nick just tells me so much about King Nick as a player, because he's yet to prove himself really in a 4v4 realm and yet to really have the success that Rain and Ryan Noob have had. But they must see something special in him to kind of keep him with them through this transition of games, right? I know that they've been online playing a ton. And then the pickup of Saiyan is unbelievable for them. I think that Saiyan is probably, individually, he probably has a chip on his shoulder as well, because he didn't probably see himself teaming with Ryan, Rain, and King Nick. He's typically teaming with your Olas and your Trippies, or your Stellars, or Penguins and Renegades. Like, this must feel like kind of a slap in the face to saying that he didn't end up on one of those higher rostered teams, but I think that might be for a good thing. I think that with the chip on his shoulder, and I think that him and Ryan Noob are going to be able to play very well together and create a lot of upsets. I'm very excited to watch this team play. I don't know of any other top teams that have started forming, but I know that there's so much talent out there that I'm really looking forward to watching a lot of these free agents kind of piece their puzzles together and create some more dark horses. I know you have Ares, you have Neighbor, Sab is still out there, Goofy, Gilkey, players that have recently showed that they have what it takes to win tournaments, and they're still out there. And I'm not sure if they've officially formed teams, but there's still a lot of talent to kind of create squads that do have the potential to win these MCC Pro Series tournaments. So those are my thoughts. It's kind of a list from first to towards the bottom of where I think the talent's going to stand, but I think with H2A, it's going to be about who puts in the time, who puts in the work, and which teams form the chemistry in order to kind of take some of these titles. And I think it's a super exciting opportunity whenever you kind of transition to a new game to give players kind of a reset of where they stand and where their teams are. So love the new teams that have formed, and very excited to get this MCC Pro Series underway.